My name is Joan Gonzalvo. I'm a marine biologist that works with Tethys Research Institute. Tethys Research Institute is an NGO based in Italy that has been dealing for over 30 years with research and conservation, primarily of marine mammals in the Mediterranean, but not only. I'm the director of the Ionian Dolphin Project, which is a citizen science program run by Tethys for over 20 years, and is focused mostly on research and conservation activities of dolphins, and lately also dealing with the Mediterranean monk seal. And I'm going to present you the role of citizen science for awareness raising, research, and to enhance also ecosystem-based management. We're going to be talking about what is citizen science, history of citizen science, what is the value of citizen science, communicating science. Different audiences will need, of course, different languages, the role of new technologies on citizen science, and we are going to close the presentation with a couple of examples on citizen science. So what is citizen science? Citizen science is understood as scientific research that relies on the active involvement of non-specialized public. So citizen science is a new way of doing science. In our programs, in programs of citizen science, every person has knowledge, every person has tools and resources that can contribute to the advancing science. So there are a number of projects in which volunteers partnered with scientists to answer real-world questions. The project that I direct in Western Greece is one of them. We have had more than 1,000 volunteers in the last 20 years from 40 different countries, and they have helped us a good deal in terms of collating data and also processing data, very important for our research. So the origin of citizen science go back at least a couple of millennia. The earliest people to study the stars, in fact, were not scientists at all, but they were very keen observers. Back then, gods were still responsible for the march of the constellations. Just being a careful observer was enough. So observing is always an important tool. People that have an interest to observe and pay attention to the environment can provide information to scientists to enhance their work. The modern form of such research arose after science became a professional activity, creating a cohort of interesting outsiders in the process. Citizen science itself was coined as a term in the mid-90s. So citizen science is science which assists the needs of concerns of citizens, is a form of science developed and enacted by the citizens themselves. So there are four main values of citizen science. There is the aspect on science, so scientific, has a very educational value, has a social value, and of course has policy value. So the value of citizen science is dependent on the quality of data collected. There are pros and cons on data collection. Citizen science can generate a huge amount of data, and that is certainly a positive thing. But we have to pay attention of how accurate is the data that we are collecting. So there are verified citizen science programs in which the observations are checked by experts. But there are also other modalities in which the observations are submitted without verifications, and these are known as direct citizen science projects. The educational value of citizen science are found in formal education, mostly for children and young people, or as part of informal learning for adults and children. Citizen science has the potential to bring society closer to science and to nature, bringing about a sense of ownership and helping to create the kind of society that works to protect its natural environment. Citizen science can surely serve also to policymakers, by raising awareness about environmental issues and also by providing evidence on conservation needs that might end up on generating proposals and action plans and management plans that will have dedicated actions primarily focused on conservation. So it is a challenge to communicate science. Most scientists are used to communicate their work and their data, their knowledge to their own colleagues, but not always is easy to communicate science to the wider public. So there are too many scientists that still reside within their own research bubbles, which is counterproductive. Effective science communication is not as difficult as it seems. Here are a few tips to communicate science to people who are not scientists. So we must know our audience. Not knowing our audience is like throwing darts at a dartboard with the lights off. We need to make sure that people that are listening to us are going to understand what we want to tell them and that we can convey effectively the message. To do that, we have to pay attention to the language we're using. Scientists tend to use terms that sometimes a non-professional audience might not understand. Concepts like terms like bias, positive trend, and so on can have a very different meaning if we're talking in a scientific context or if we're talking in a non-professional context. And this contributes sometimes to create or to generate misunderstandings to our audience. It is important to get straight to the point. One important tip is that it's best to concentrate the information in 3 key points, 3 focuses of your research, 3 results, 3 reasons why your work is important, 3 potential applications of your work, etc. Albert Einstein said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. So it is important to make sure that we are reaching the audience, that we can convey effectively our messages. Do not forget that you are the expert when speaking with the media. Be confident, do not speculate if you don't know. Reflect on what you want or do not want on the record in days, months, and years to come and use that as a filter. Use social media. It is not just only for kids. It is an important medium that policymakers, media, other scholars, and the general public use a lot. So social media is a very important tool nowadays. The bottom line is, if you want to maximize the impact of your research, you need to share it broadly and make it understandable. New technologies are increasing their impact on citizen science. New technologies are very important tools nowadays, not only for research itself, but also to involve citizens and the general public in our work and to help them to effectively gather information that easily can be shared with scientists. So the growing interest in citizen science has resulted in a new range of digital tools that facilitate the interaction and communications between citizens and scientists. I'm going to give you now a couple of examples of citizen science projects, that both of them led by Tethys Research Institute. In this case, you see here one of the posters used for a project done in the Pelagos Sanctuary in North Italy, in the Ligurian Sea. This is a very important area for cetaceans in the Mediterranean, and Cetacei Fai Attenzione was a project dedicated specifically to the Italian public to involve them on effectively gathering information on cetaceans. So with people, when people are going out there at sea, they can collect information on sightings, on the species they are observing, and through the platform provided by this project, they can share those sightings and the information resulting from those experiences at sea with researchers. This tool, this project is also providing information on best practices, on the guidelines that people going out at sea can follow on how to behave around cetaceans in order to minimize the impact of their boat when approaching these animals at sea. Similarly, the Ionian Dolphin Project has also established a platform through its website in which, again, boaters and people going out at sea can share their sightings with us. This has shown very useful because in the past 5 years we have gathered more than 400 sightings from people from many countries that visit the area, are sailing or are using their boats to navigate around the Ionian Islands, and they have been able through our website or by email. They have been able to send us coordinates, information on the sightings. They can even share with us photos. We were talking before about the validation of the data that we collect within a citizen science program, and by sending us not only the coordinates, but also sharing with us photos and in some cases video of their observations, we can confirm the accuracy of that data. And we try always to get back to them, giving them feedback on the species that they have observed, and also providing tips and, again, guidelines on how is best to behave when encountering dolphins at sea. I mentioned earlier in the presentation that the Ionian Dolphin Project deals also with the Mediterranean monk seal, especially in the last 5-6 years, when the sightings of this species has increased quite significantly in our study site. And one of the reasons for which we have intensified our research effort on Mediterranean monk seal is largely because we have received a lot of sightings, a lot of reports by these tourists, by these visitors in our area, in which they have reported sightings and encounters with the endangered Mediterranean monk seal. This has led us to modify and to update our website, and in the next few weeks a new website of the Ionian Dolphin Project will be made available, in which will include not only information on cetaceans in Greek waters and in the Mediterranean in general, but also on the Mediterranean monk seal and what are the best strategies or the best ways of observing Mediterranean monk seals in the wild when we encounter them at sea, in order to minimize the possible impact or disturbance that we might have in this endangered species. There are a number of references that you can check, and here is a list. We are also providing you links in which you can download or you can access directly the PDF of these resources. And this is it. If you have any other questions, you can again check those references or get in touch with me at juan.gonzalvo@gmail.com, or simply go to Tethys Research Institute website and get in touch with Tethys. Our website is www.tethys.org.